Commander Eliza Chen stood by the tall window of the Galactic Concord's Grand Hall. The blue-green planet of Centauri Prime rotated slowly below. In her hands, she held a data pad with the final draft of the Eternal Peace Treaty. This treaty was meant to end 200 years of fighting between the many species of the galaxy. As a junior representative from Earth, Eliza was not supposed to be involved in the big decisions. She was there to learn, to watch, and to help with small tasks. The senior ambassador, Harold Wellington, handled all the important matters. But Eliza had always been thorough in her work. Last night, while everyone celebrated the coming peace, Eliza had stayed in her room to read the entire treaty one more time. That was when she found it, hidden in complex legal language and cross-references to old agreements. Provisions that would allow the elder species, those who had been in space for thousands of years, to take resources from developing worlds, including Earth's colonies. "You look troubled, Commander Chen." The voice came from behind her. Ambassador Wellington approached with 2 glasses of sparkling blue liquid. "You should be celebrating. This treaty will secure humanity's place in the galaxy." Eliza took the glass but didn't drink. "Sir, have you read Appendix 47B? The one referenced by Section 12, Paragraph 233. Wellington's smile faltered. "I've reviewed the key points." "Our legal team has assured me it's a trap," Eliza said simply. "The treaty gives the Drakari and Melhorn empires the right to establish guidance outposts on any world that hasn't been spacefaring for at least 500 years. That includes New Mars and Titan Colony." Wellington frowned. "I'm sure you're misinterpreting." "I'm not." Eliza pulled up the relevant sections on her pad. "And there's more. Section 29 allows for resource allocation adjustments at the discretion of the Concord Council. Earth only gets 1 vote on a council of 22. The elder species hold 12 seats. Wellington's face paled as he read. "This can't be right. We've been negotiating for years." "They never expected anyone to read the whole thing," Eliza said. "It's over 10,000 pages with all the appendices. They've buried these clauses deep." The Grand Hall was filling with representatives from across the galaxy. The Drakari, tall with iridescent scales, gathered in one corner. The crystalline Melhorn floated on anti-gravity platforms. Dozens of other species mingled. Some humanoid, others wildly different in form. "We need to delay the signing," Wellington whispered urgently. "I need to contact Earth Command." Eliza shook her head. "The communication blackout started an hour ago. For security purposes during the ceremony. That's why I came to find you." A soft chime echoed through the hall. "The signing ceremony was beginning. What do we do?" Wellington asked, his diplomatic confidence suddenly gone. Eliza took a deep breath. "What we have to." The supreme arbiter of the Concord, an ancient Vidian with pale blue skin, floated to the center of the hall. Its voice, translated through everyone's ear devices, called for attention. "Today marks the end of conflict and the beginning of eternal harmony," the arbiter announced. "Representatives will be called forward alphabetically by species to sign the treaty." The ceremony began. One by one, ambassadors approached the central platform, where the treaty glowed on a holographic display. Each placed their hand or appendage on the scanner, confirming their agreement. "Representing Earth and human colonies," the arbiter announced, "Ambassador Harold Wellington and Commander Eliza Chen." They walked forward together. The eyes of the galaxy watched them. Wellington hesitated, looking at Eliza with uncertainty. "Sir," she whispered, "once we sign this, there's no going back. Humanity will effectively become a servant race." Wellington's hand trembled above the scanner. The arbiter's eyes narrowed. "Is there a problem, Ambassador?" the arbiter asked. Wellington looked around at the expectant faces of the elder species representatives. Some were already showing signs of impatience. No problem," Wellington said, placing his hand on the scanner. It glowed green, accepting his signature. All eyes turned to Eliza. She stepped forward, looked directly at the arbiter, and said clearly, "I refuse to sign." The hall went completely silent. "Perhaps you misunderstand the procedure," the arbiter said slowly. "This is merely a formality. The treaty has been agreed upon by all parties." "I understand perfectly," Eliza replied, her voice steady though her heart pounded. "I cannot in good conscience sign a document that would effectively enslave developing worlds, including human colonies." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The Drakari ambassador, General Victor, stepped forward. His scales flashed red with anger. "This is outrageous," he hissed. The humans agreed to all terms. "Did we?" Eliza asked loudly. She held up her datapad. "Did we agree to Section 12, Paragraph 233, which allows elder species to establish military bases on our colonies? Or Section 29, which permits the Council to redirect our resources as they see fit?" The murmurs grew louder. Some of the other junior representatives from younger species began checking their own copies of the treaty. "These provisions are for the greater good," the Arbiter said smoothly. "For stability, for control," Eliza countered. She tapped her datapad, sending the highlighted sections to the main display for all to see. "This isn't a peace treaty. It's a surrender document." Chaos erupted in the hall. Wellington grabbed Eliza's arm. "What have you done?" he gasped. "Earth isn't ready for conflict with the elder species. Earth isn't ready to be a slave world either," she replied. Two Melhorn security officers floated toward them. "Commander Chen, you will come with us for questioning. Your actions constitute a diplomatic irregularity." Wellington stepped between them. "My junior representative acts under my authority. If you have questions, you may direct them to me." But the Melhorn pushed past him, taking Eliza by both arms. She didn't resist, but managed to activate the emergency transmitter hidden in her uniform collar. If the communication blackout ended before they found and disabled it, her message and the treaty highlights would reach Earth Command. "The signing ceremony will continue," the Arbiter announced, trying to restore order. "This incident will be addressed separately." As Eliza was led away, she noticed something unexpected. Several representatives from younger species were now huddled together, talking urgently and examining the treaty sections she had displayed. Seeds of doubt had been planted. The Melhorn guards took her to a small white room deep within the Concord building. They confiscated her datapad and uniform jacket, leaving her alone at a plain table. Hours passed. Eliza sat calmly, though her mind raced through possible outcomes. Best case, Earth received her message and demanded her release. Worst case, the elder species made an example of her, and Earth abandoned her to avoid conflict. The door finally opened. A tall human man in an Earth Command uniform entered. Admiral James Hernandez, the highest-ranking military officer in the Sol system. "Commander Chen," he said formally, "you've created quite a situation." Eliza stood at attention. "Sir, I acted according to my best judgment." Hernandez's stern expression didn't change. "Your transmission was received. Earth Command has reviewed the treaty sections you highlighted." Eliza held her breath. "We've informed the Galactic Concord that Earth rejects the treaty in its current form," Hernandez said. "We demand transparent negotiations and your immediate release." Relief flooded through Eliza. "They agreed?" Now Hernandez smiled slightly. "Not exactly. I brought a battle group with me. It's currently in orbit around Centauri Prime. The Concord is reconsidering its position." "That's a risky move, sir," Eliza said. "So was yours, Commander." Hernandez extended his hand. "But sometimes the right move isn't the safe one. Earth backs your stand. Now let's go show the galaxy that humans aren't easily fooled or threatened." As they left the detention room, Eliza felt a mixture of fear and pride. She had acted on principle, and Earth had supported her. What would happen next was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The galaxy would never again underestimate humanity, or Commander Eliza Chen. The emergency meeting of Earth Command filled the circular war room in the underground complex beneath New Geneva. 12 men and women sat around the table, their faces lit by the glow of holographic displays showing the data Commander Eliza Chen had transmitted. Admiral James Hernandez stood at the head of the table. His battle group was holding position near Centauri Prime, a dangerous show of force that had secured Commander Chen's release. Now Earth had to decide its next move. "The situation is clear," Hernandez said. "The Eternal Peace Treaty is a trap designed to turn Earth and other developing worlds into client states of the elder species." General Maria Santos, head of Earth's ground forces, leaned forward. "We've suspected the elder species have been manipulating galactic politics for years. Now we have proof." "Proof doesn't give us options," replied Trade Minister Okamura. His normally calm face showed deep worry lines. "The Galactic Concord has already threatened economic sanctions. Half our off-world colonies depend on trade with Drakari and Melhorn systems." The holographic display changed to show a map of known space. Human territory was a tiny bubble compared to the vast reaches controlled by the elder species. We can't fight them, Defense Minister Wilson said bluntly. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their fleets outnumber ours 50-1. Admiral Hernandez nodded. In a conventional war, yes. But that's not what I'm proposing. Before he could continue, an aide rushed in and whispered something to President Kwan, who sat quietly at the far end of the table. The president's expression darkened. 3 diplomatic vessels have entered Earth orbit, she announced. The Drakari, the Melhorn, and the Vidian Collective. They're requesting immediate audience. Minister Okamura stood quickly. This is our chance to smooth things over. We can say Commander Chen acted without authority, that there was a misunderstanding. No, President Kwan said firmly. We will not throw Commander Chen to the wolves. Her assessment of the treaty was correct. Earth does not sign deceptive agreements. Then what do we do? Asked Wilson. We can't afford a war. Admiral Hernandez touched a control and the holographic display changed again. It showed designs for weapon systems and defensive technologies that most people in the room had never seen before. For the past 20 years, Hernandez explained, Earth Defense Force has been running a black project called Prometheus. We've been reverse engineering technology from every piece of alien tech we could get our hands on. Some bought legally, some acquired through other means. Shocked murmurs filled the room. These systems aren't ready for full deployment, Hernandez continued, but they're enough to make any aggression against Earth extremely costly. We can't win a prolonged war, but we can hurt them badly enough to make them think twice. President Kwan studied the Admiral carefully. You've been preparing for this day. Someone had to, Hernandez replied. The elder species have been treating us like children since first contact. Children who should be seen, not heard. Who should follow their rules without question. It was only a matter of time before their true intentions became clear. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. What about the other developing species? General Santos asked. The Arcturans, the Proxima colonists, the Tau Ceti Federation? They must have found the same treaty provisions. Most likely, agreed Hernandez. But they're even less able to resist than we are. They'll be watching our response carefully. President Kwan stood, drawing everyone's attention. She was a small woman, but her presence filled the room. Show the diplomatic vessels in, she ordered. I want to hear what they have to say. The 3 alien ambassadors entered the war room with an air of confidence that quickly faded when they realized they were not meeting in the usual diplomatic chambers. The Drakari representative, General Victor, flared his scales in surprise. The crystalline Melhorn ambassador chimed softly in what might have been disapproval. Only the ancient Vidian seemed unperturbed, its pale blue skin glowing gently in the dim light. This is highly irregular, General Victor said. Matters of galactic importance should be discussed in proper diplomatic settings. I believe we're past diplomatic niceties, President Kwan replied coolly. Please state your business. The Melhorn ambassador floated forward on its anti-gravity platform. When it spoke, its words were translated by the room's systems. The actions of your representative have caused great disruption to the peace process, the Melhorn said. However, the Concord is willing to overlook this misunderstanding. A separate agreement can be arranged for Earth and its colonies. An agreement with better terms? Hernandez asked. More suitable to your current development stage, the Melhorn replied. The Vidian ambassador, who had remained silent, suddenly spoke. Its voice was deep and melodious even through translation. My colleagues are not being entirely forthright, it said. The Concord is divided. Some believe humanity should be punished for its defiance. Others see an opportunity. General Victor shot an angry glance at the Vidian but didn't contradict it. What opportunity? President Kwan asked. The Melhorn moved closer. Earth has shown remarkable technological progress in recent decades. Your adaptability is valuable. In exchange for your support of the treaty, we can offer advanced technology transfers, FTL drive improvements, genetic medicine, weapon systems. Admiral Hernandez laughed without humor. So we get some technology scraps and in exchange we help you enslave other developing worlds? Not enslavement, General Victor hissed. Guidance, protection. The galaxy is dangerous. Younger species need direction. We've had 500 years of human history to study, President Kwan said. Whenever one group claims another needs protection and guidance, it rarely ends well for the protected. The Vidian ambassador moved forward. Unlike the others, it seemed genuinely curious rather than threatening. You would risk standing alone? It asked, Earth is but one world. The Concord spans thousands. If standing for truth and fair treatment means standing alone, President Kwan replied, then that is where Earth will stand. The three ambassadors exchanged glances. The Melhorn's crystalline structure dimmed slightly. There will be consequences, it chimed. Economic isolation. Military containment. Your colonies will suffer. President Kwan smiled thinly. Perhaps, or perhaps not. Please convey our message to the conquered. Earth rejects the Eternal Peace Treaty in its current form. We demand transparent negotiations with fair terms for all species. The Drakari general's scales flushed deep red. This is your final decision? It is, President Kwan confirmed. After the ambassadors left, silence filled the war room. Finally, Trade Minister Okamura spoke. They'll retaliate. The economic impact will be severe. Better short-term pain than long-term servitude, General Santos said. We can increase production in the Sol system to offset some losses. And military options? Defense Minister Wilson asked Hernandez. I've already ordered all Earth Defense Force units to high alert, the Admiral replied. The Prometheus systems are being deployed to key defensive positions. If they come looking for a fight, they'll get one. President Kwan looked around the table. Let's be clear about what we've done today. For better or worse, Earth has taken a stand not just for ourselves, but potentially for all developing species. There's no going back. Admiral Hernandez nodded grimly. Commander Chen did the right thing on Centauri Prime. Now we've done the right thing here. The question is, what will the rest of the galaxy do? As if in answer, an aide rushed in with a new report. Madam President, we're receiving transmissions from the Arcturan League, the Proxima colonies, and 3 other developing worlds. They're all asking for private communications channels with Earth Command. President Kwan and Admiral Hernandez exchanged glances. Perhaps Earth wouldn't be standing alone after all. Put them through to my office, the President said. And Admiral, prepare your forces. One way or another, the galaxy is about to change. As the meeting broke up, Admiral Hernandez lingered studying the star map. His finger traced the small bubble of human space, then the vast territories beyond. We woke the giants, he murmured to himself. Now we need to be ready for what comes next. Commander Eliza Chen walked through the busy halls of Earth Command headquarters in New Geneva. 2 weeks had passed since her return from Centauri Prime. In that time, her life had changed completely. Junior diplomatic staff no longer stopped her to ask about coffee orders. Now they moved aside respectfully as she passed. Commander Chen, a voice called from behind her. A moment, please. Eliza turned to see Admiral Hernandez approaching. Despite the crisis, he looked remarkably calm. Walk with me, he said, gesturing toward the central garden. Once they were outside, surrounded by carefully tended earth plants, he spoke again. The Arcturan ambassador has arrived. She specifically requested to meet you. Eliza raised her eyebrows. Me? Not the President or Secretary of State? You, Hernandez confirmed. You've become something of a symbol, Commander. The human who stood up to the elder species. Eliza frowned. I was just doing my job. Reading the fine print. Sometimes that's all it takes to change history, Hernandez said. The Arcturans were also pressured to sign the treaty. Their ambassador wants to talk about alternatives. They entered a small conference room where a tall, slender being waited. The Arcturan had pale violet skin and large almond-shaped eyes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. Commander Chen, the Arcturan said, bowing slightly. I am Ambassador Nara. Your courage has given hope to many worlds. Eliza returned the bow. I appreciate that, Ambassador, but I simply pointed out deceptive treaty terms, which is more than anyone has dared to do in 700 years, Ambassador Nara replied. The elder species have used similar tactics many times before. A treaty here, a trade agreement there, each one taking a little more freedom, a little more resources from developing worlds. Admiral Hernandez leaned forward. You have evidence of this? Nara nodded and placed a small crystal on the table. It projected a holographic display of documents, some looking ancient. The Arcturan Historical Archive has preserved records of 27 similar treaties over the past millennium. Each time the elder species consolidated more power. Those who refused were isolated or conquered. Until now, resistance has always been unsuccessful. What's different this time? Eliza asked. Humanity, Nara said simply. Your species has a reputation among the stars, Commander. You advance quickly. You think differently. You're unpredictable. And most importantly, You're willing to stand alone when principles are at stake. Admiral Hernandez studied the Arcturan carefully. Ambassador Nara, why exactly are you here? To propose an alliance, Nara replied. Not just between Arctura and Earth, but a coalition of developing worlds. Together, we might be able to resist the elder species' pressure. That's a dangerous proposition, Hernandez noted. The conquered could view it as an act of rebellion. They already view Earth's treaty rejection as rebellion, Nara pointed out. And they're preparing to make an example of you. Our intelligence suggests they're assembling a fleet. Eliza felt a chill. How much time do we have? Perhaps a month. They move slowly, confident in their superiority. Nara's shimmering eyes fixed on Eliza. But they don't understand humans, do they? You've been preparing defenses even before the treaty incident. Hernandez didn't confirm or deny this. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? A meeting. Representatives from 7 developing worlds who sympathize with Earth's position. We share technology, resources, intelligence. We form a united front. 7 worlds against the entire conquered? Eliza asked skeptically. Nara's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. Not all elder species agree with the treaty approach. The Vidian Collective has been arguing for true partnership with developing worlds for centuries. They've been consistently outvoted, but they have influence. And there are others who might be persuaded to remain neutral. Hernandez nodded thoughtfully. Divide and delay. Give us time to strengthen our position. Precisely, Nara agreed. Will Earth host such a meeting? Hernandez and Eliza exchanged glances. I'll need to discuss it with the President, Hernandez said. But I believe she'll agree. After Ambassador Nara left, Eliza turned to Hernandez. Can we really pull this off? A coalition against the elder species? We don't have much choice, Hernandez replied grimly. Together we might survive. Alone we definitely fall. 3 days later, Eliza stood in the observation gallery above Earth Command's largest conference room. Below her, representatives from 7 worlds sat around a circular table. Humans from Earth, violet-skinned Arcturans, the insect-like Proxima colonists, delegates from Tau Ceti with their 4 arms, and 3 other species Eliza was still learning to recognize. President Quan entered, and everyone rose in respect. Please be seated, she said. We have much to discuss in little time. The Galactic Concord has declared Earth in violation of interstellar protocols. They've suspended all trade agreements and ordered their ships to avoid our space. The Tau Ceti representative clicked his mandibles. The same has happened to us merely for delaying our treaty signature. They're making examples of us, the Proxima representative buzzed. Showing what happens to those who defy the elder species. President Quan nodded. Exactly. Which is why this meeting is so important. Ambassador Nara has proposed a coalition of developing worlds. Not an aggressive alliance, but a mutual support pact. Support against the most powerful civilizations in known space? Asked one of the other representatives. It seems ambitious. Admiral Hernandez stepped forward. It is ambitious. It's also necessary. We've all examined the Eternal Peace Treaty. We know what it means for our worlds. Submission now, or defiance with a chance for true independence. The room fell silent as the delegates considered this. Earth has been developing defensive technologies. Hernandez continued. We're willing to share them. In return, we ask for resource support and intelligence sharing. Why should Earth lead this coalition? The Tau Ceti representative asked. Your civilization is younger than most of ours. Before Hernandez could answer, Ambassador Nara spoke up. Because Earth took the first stand, she said. And because humans think differently. They see possibilities where we see only obstacles. The discussion continued for hours, sometimes heated, sometimes hopeful. From her observation point, Eliza watched the coalition slowly taking shape. It wasn't perfect. There were disagreements, suspicions, old rivalries. But there was also a growing sense of common purpose. As the meeting adjourned for the day, Eliza felt a presence beside her. It was Ambassador Nara. They're coming together better than I expected, Nara said quietly. Will it be enough? Eliza asked. Perhaps. The elder species have grown complacent over millennia of unchallenged rule. They don't adapt quickly. Nara turned her shimmering eyes to Eliza. We've received a communication from the Vidian Collective. They wish to speak with you privately. Eliza blinked in surprise. Me, why? They say you showed wisdom beyond your years on Centauri Prime. They believe you might be receptive to their perspective. Do you trust them? Eliza asked. The Viridians are different from the other elder species, Nara replied carefully. They've lived so long they see patterns the rest of us miss. They rarely interfere directly, but when they do, it's significant. I believe you should meet with them. I'll need clearance from Earth Command, Eliza said. Nara nodded. Of course. But consider this. The Viridians don't reach out often. If they're contacting you now, they must believe this moment is pivotal to the galaxy's future. The coalition meeting continued for 3 more days. By the end, a framework agreement had been signed. The Coalition of Free Worlds, they called it. 7 developing species united in mutual defense and support. It wasn't much against the might of the conquered, but it was a beginning. Ships from coalition worlds began arriving in Earth's solar system, bringing scientists, engineers, and resources. Earth shared its defensive technologies, particularly the Prometheus systems. The other worlds contributed their own innovations, Arcturan sensor arrays, Proximan stealth systems, Tau Ceti power generators. On the 5th day, Admiral Hernandez called Eliza to his office. We've received confirmed reports, he said without preamble. The Conquered is assembling a peacekeeping armada at Rigel. Over 200 vessels. Their stated mission is to restore order in the disputed regions. Earth, Eliza said. Earth first. Then any world that supported us. Hernandez handed her a datapad. I've authorized your meeting with the Viridian representative. It will happen on the neutral station orbiting Europa. You leave tomorrow. Eliza took the pad. What exactly am I supposed to accomplish, Admiral? Find out what they want, what they know, and if they're willing to help. Hernandez looked tired but determined. The coalition is brave, Commander, but we're still outmatched. If the Viridians are offering a hand, we need to at least hear what they have to say. And if it's a trap? Eliza asked. Then we're no worse off than we already are, Hernandez replied grimly. The Armada will reach our system in 2 weeks. Right now, we need all the help we can get. Eliza nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. From junior diplomatic aide to potential savior of Earth in less than a month. It wasn't a career path she had anticipated. I won't let you down, sir, she said. I know, Hernandez replied. You already proved that on Centauri Prime. The Europa neutral station hung in space like a silver needle against the swirling clouds of Jupiter. As Eliza's shuttle approached, she studied the massive gas giant through the viewport. Human outposts dotted its moons, mining facilities, research stations, and the beginnings of colonies. All of that would be lost if the Concord Armada succeeded in their mission. Commander, we're being hailed, the pilot announced. Europa Station is granting us priority docking. Eliza nodded. The coalition ships were gathering in the outer reaches of the solar system. Earth's defensive systems were on high alert. But here in the Jupiter system, there was an uneasy calm before the storm. The shuttle docked smoothly at the station, and Eliza made her way through the corridors. Europa Station was a truly neutral territory, administered by an AI to prevent any species from claiming advantage. Representatives from dozens of worlds moved through its halls, some casting curious or hostile glances at the human in an Earth Command uniform. Eliza reached the designated meeting room and paused outside the door. Whatever the Viridian wanted, it could change the course of the coming conflict. She took a deep breath and entered. The room was dimly lit with a blue-green glow that seemed to come from nowhere in particular. A single Viridian waited, its pale blue skin pulsing gently with inner light. It was taller than a human, with elongated limbs and a face that was somehow both alien and wise. Commander Chen, the Viridian said in perfect English. I am Elder Genta of the Viridian Collective. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Eliza bowed slightly. Thank you for reaching out, Elder. Earth is interested in your perspective on current events. The Viridian gestured to a chair and Eliza sat down. There was something calming about the elder species' presence, a sense of vast age and patience. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Commander, Genta said. The path chosen now will echo through millennia to come. The Conquered didn't leave us much choice, Eliza replied. The treaty was deceptive. Earth could not sign it. And yet many worlds did, Genta noted. Many simply accepted what they were told by the elder species. But not humans. Never humans. There was something like amusement in its voice. You find that funny? Eliza asked. I find it hopeful, the Viridian corrected. The collective has long argued that true galactic stability cannot be built on deception and control. We have been consistently outvoted in the Concord Council. Then why not leave the Concord? Eliza asked. And accomplish what? Alone, even the Vidian collective cannot stand against the combined might of the other elder species. Genta's skin pulsed more brightly. But perhaps we are no longer alone. Eliza leaned forward. Are you suggesting an alliance? Between the Vidian collective and the coalition? I am suggesting a possibility. A chance to reshape the future. Genta's eyes, deep pools of swirling blue, fixed on Eliza. The Drakari and Melhorn believe they can crush your coalition with a show of force. They expect you to surrender quickly to serve as an example to others. They're wrong, Eliza said firmly. Yes, Genta agreed. They are wrong about many things. About humans especially, but they control the largest fleets in the galaxy, and they are coming for Earth. We know, Eliza said. What we don't know is where the Vidian collective stands. Genta was silent for a long moment. Officially, we remain part of the Concord. We cannot openly support your coalition. Eliza's heart sank. Then why are we here? Because there are many forms of support, Commander. The Vidian collective will not join the Armada against Earth. We have withdrawn our vessels for maintenance. This reduces the Concord's strength by nearly 20%. That still leaves a lot of ships heading our way, Eliza pointed out. Indeed, which is why I have something for you. Genta handed her a small crystal, similar to the one Ambassador Nara had shown her. This contains tactical data on Drakari and Melhorn fleet formations, weapons capabilities, and communication frequencies. It also includes Vidian analysis of potential vulnerabilities. Eliza stared at the crystal. This would be considered treason by the Concord. Perhaps, Genta acknowledged. Or perhaps it is simply returning balance to a galaxy long dominated by those who value power over wisdom. The Vidian stood. Use it well, Commander. The collective will be watching. As Eliza left the station with the crystal secure in her uniform, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was indeed at a turning point. And somehow, improbably, humanity was at the center of it all. Admiral Hernandez stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiant, Earth's newest and most advanced battleship. Around him, officers monitored sensors and communication systems. The main display showed the positions of coalition ships spread throughout the Kuiper Belt, the outer edge of the solar system. Status report, Hernandez ordered. Coalition forces in position. Admiral, reported his second-in-command. Arctur and sensor arrays are active. Proxima stealth systems engaged. Prometheus defense platforms online and ready. And the Conquered Armada? Just entered the system, sir. They're moving slowly, maintaining tight formation. 217 vessels, primarily Drakari and Melhorn. Hernandez nodded grimly. Despite the coalition's preparations, they were still outnumbered 3-1. The data from the Vidians had helped, allowing them to plan countermeasures against known Conquered tactics, but the coming battle would still be desperate. Message from Commander Chen's shuttle, sir. She's approaching the Defiant now. Good. Send her to the bridge as soon as she boards. Hernandez studied the tactical display, looking for any advantage they might have missed. Minutes later, Eliza arrived on the bridge. Still in her travel uniform, Commander? Hernandez greeted her. Welcome to the front line. Eliza looked at the tactical display. They came in force. They want to make sure the message is clear, Hernandez replied. Defy the Conquered, and this is what happens. The Vidians kept their word, Eliza noted. No Vidian ships in the Armada. Small comfort given what we're facing, Hernandez said. Did you get anything useful from your meeting? Eliza handed him the crystal. Tactical data, vulnerabilities, more than I expected. Hernandez passed the crystal to his technical officer. Analyze this immediately. Incorporate any useful data into our battle plans. The communications officer suddenly straightened. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Conquered Armada. General Victor of the Drakari wishes to speak with Earth Command. Hernandez exchanged glances with Eliza. Put him through. The main screen changed to show the Drakari general, his scales glittering with metallic highlights that indicated his high rank. Admiral Hernandez, Victor said, his voice translated through the ship's systems. I see Earth has gathered some friends. Impressive, but futile. We're not looking for a fight, General, Hernandez replied calmly. But we are prepared to defend ourselves. Victor's scales flashed in what might have been amusement. The Conquered has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Your coalition is barely 2 weeks old. Surrender now. Acknowledge the authority of the Concord and sign the treaty. No blood need be shed. The treaty remains unacceptable, Hernandez said firmly. We propose new negotiations with all terms transparent and fair to all species. The time for negotiations has passed, Victor hissed. You will comply or you will be made to comply. You have 1 hour to reconsider. The transmission ended. Eliza looked at Hernandez. He's not bluffing. Neither are we, Hernandez replied. Alert all coalition vessels. Battle stations. The hour passed quickly. The Conquered Armada began moving deeper into the system, spreading out into attack formation. The coalition ships maintained their positions, weapons powered but not yet targeting. No response from General Victor, the communications officer reported. The Armada continues to advance. Hernandez straightened his uniform. Send to all coalition ships, hold position. Do not fire unless fired upon. I want the galaxy to know who started this. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the distance between the forces narrowed. Suddenly a warning sounded. Energy spike from the lead Drakari vessels, shouted the sensor officer. They're powering weapons. Defensive systems to maximum, Hernandez ordered calmly. Maintain position. The first shots came moments later, brilliant beams of energy lancing out from the Concord ships toward the coalition line. Most were absorbed by the defensive screens, but 2 coalition vessels reported damage. They fired on us, Eliza said, her voice tight. It's really happening. Hernandez's face was grim. So be it. All ships execute battle plan Thermopylae. Target the lead vessels and fire. The coalition ships responded, releasing a coordinated barrage that caught the Concord Armada by surprise. Several Drakari ships took direct hits, their shields flaring and failing. The Prometheus platforms are online, reported the weapons officer. Firing sequence initiated. Throughout the Kuiper Belt, hidden platforms activated, launching specialized weapons designed with the elder species technology in mind. Disruptor fields targeted the Melhorn ship's crystalline structures. Quantum jammers interfered with Drakari communication systems. The space between the forces lit up with energy beams, missile trails, and explosions. The coalition ships moved in coordinated patterns, using their smaller numbers to tactical advantage, striking and retreating, drawing portions of the Conquered Armada away from the main force. On the Defiance Bridge, Hernandez watched the battle unfold. They were holding there. The central hall of the Europa Neutral Station had been transformed. The normally austere space now held a massive round table, where representatives from across the galaxy sat in tense silence. On one side were the elder species of the Conquered, the Drakari with their iridescent scales, the crystalline Melhorn on their floating platforms, and others whose names Eliza was still learning. On the other side sat the coalition of free worlds, humans from Earth, violet-skinned Arcturans, Proxima colonists with their insect features, and the four-armed representatives from Tau Ceti. Between them, serving as mediators, were the pale blue Viridians. Elder Genta stood at the head of the table, its skin glowing softly in the dim light. 3 days of battle, Genta began, resulted in 29 ships destroyed, 57 damaged, and 312 lives lost. A pointless waste that could have been avoided with honest communication. General Victor of the Drakari flared his scales in anger. The blame lies with Earth and its coalition. They defied the rightful authority of the Conquered. We defied a deceptive treaty. Admiral Hernandez countered from his seat beside Eliza. One designed to strip developing worlds of their autonomy. You misunderstood, began one of the Melhorn representatives, its crystalline voice chiming through the translation system. No, Eliza interrupted, rising to her feet. All eyes turned to her. There was no misunderstanding. I read every page of that treaty, including the hidden provisions in Appendix 47B and Section 29. The intent was clear, to establish control over developing worlds and their resources. The Melhorn's crystals dimmed slightly. Elder Genta nodded toward Eliza. Commander Chen's analysis is correct, the Viridian confirmed. The Viridian Collective objected to these provisions when they were first proposed, but we were outvoted in the Concord Council. This is not a court, hissed General Victor. We are not here to be judged by lesser species who barely understand interstellar politics. Yet here we are, Genta replied calmly. The battle in the Kuiper Belt ended in stalemate. The conquered armada, despite its superior numbers, could not overwhelm the coalition defenses, a remarkable outcome that few would have predicted. There was an uncomfortable shifting among the elder species representatives. The battle had indeed been a shock. Earth's Prometheus systems, combined with Arcturan sensors and Proximan stealth technology, had proven unexpectedly effective against conquered ships. What should have been a swift demonstration of power had instead revealed that the developing worlds were no longer easy targets. The balance of power is shifting, Genta continued. The Vidian Collective proposes a new approach, not a treaty imposed by the powerful upon the weak, but a true accord between equals. Equals, scoffed a Drakari diplomat. Some of these species have been spacefaring for less than a millennium. The Drakari have sailed the void for 50,000 years. Ambassador Nara of the Arcturans spoke up, her voice steady despite the tension. Age does not equate to wisdom, as this conflict has demonstrated. Perhaps it is time for fresh perspectives. We're not asking for charity, Hernandez added. The coalition has proven it can defend itself if necessary. We would prefer cooperation to conflict, but that cooperation must be based on mutual respect. The debate continued for hours, sometimes heated, sometimes thoughtful. From her seat at the table, Eliza watched the dynamics shift. Some of the elder species representatives remained dismissive, but others seemed genuinely surprised by the coalition's unity and resolve. Finally, Elder Genta raised a hand for silence. I believe we have discussed enough for today. Let us reconvene tomorrow with specific proposals for a new framework. As the delegates filed out, Eliza found herself walking beside Elder Genta. You did well today, Commander, the Vidian said quietly. Your voice carries weight. Because I was the first to say no? Eliza asked. Because you spoke truth to power, Genta corrected. A rare quality in this galaxy, and one the Vidian Collective values highly. Eliza studied the ancient being. Why did the Vidians help us? Really? Genta's skin pulsed gently. The Drakari and Melhorn believe their age gives them the right to rule. The Vidian Collective believes age brings responsibility. We have watched many civilizations rise and fall. Those built on deception and control always collapse eventually. We hope for something more sustainable. And you think humans can help build that? Eliza asked skeptically. We think you can help catalyze change, Genta replied. The galaxy has been stagnant for too long. Your species brings unpredictability. Eliza wasn't sure if that was a compliment, but she nodded anyway. We'll try not to disappoint. The negotiations continued for 2 weeks. Each day brought new arguments, new proposals, new compromises. Eliza found herself at the center of many discussions, explaining Earth's position, challenging deceptive language, suggesting alternatives. During a rare break, she sat with Admiral Hernandez in the station's observation lounge, watching the swirling clouds of Jupiter below. We've come a long way from Centauri Prime, Hernandez remarked. When you refused to sign that treaty, did you ever imagine it would lead to this? Eliza shook her head. I was just doing my job, reading the fine print. Sometimes the smallest actions have the largest consequences, Hernandez said. Earth Command is impressed with your performance here. There's talk of making you our permanent ambassador to the new, whatever it ends up being called. Not the Galactic Concord anymore, that's for sure, Eliza replied. The Vidians are suggesting the Galactic Accord, Hernandez said. Emphasis on accord, agreement between equals, rather than concord harmony under direction. Small changes in words can hide big differences in meaning, Eliza noted. That's how we got into this mess in the first place. Their conversation was interrupted by a chime from Hernandez's communicator. The final session is starting. Let's go make history. The central hall felt different today. The lighting was brighter and the representatives seemed more relaxed. Even General Victor's scales displayed more neutral colors than the angry reds of previous sessions. Elder Genta stood at the center of the room, beside a holographic display of the proposed document, the Galactic Accord. After much discussion, the Vidian began. We have reached a framework that most delegations find acceptable. The key provisions are as follows. The holographic display highlighted sections as Genta outlined them. First, all member worlds retain full sovereignty over their territories, resources, and development paths. No guidance outposts or resource allocation adjustments without explicit consent. Second, the Governing Council will include representatives from both elder and developing species, with decisions requiring a 2/3 majority rather than a simple majority. Third, all treaty provisions must be clearly stated in plain language accessible to all signatories. No hidden clauses or complex cross-references. Fourth, a committee with rotating membership will review all interstellar agreements to ensure transparency and fairness. Fifth, military action against member worlds is prohibited except in cases of clear aggression, and must be approved by the full council. Eliza studied the document carefully, looking for loopholes or deceptive language. To her surprise, it seemed genuinely fair, a true partnership rather than a disguised power grab. This is acceptable to the Vidian Collective, Genta concluded. Now we must hear from the other delegations. One by one, the representatives indicated their positions. The Arcturans, Proxima colonists, and other coalition members quickly agreed. Some of the elder species hesitated, but eventually most nodded their assent. Even the Melhorn, after some internal discussion, chimed their agreement. Only the Drakari remained opposed. General Victor stood, his scales shifting between colors as he struggled to control his emotions. The Drakari Empire has led the galaxy for 50,000 years, he said. This accord diminishes our rightful place. It recognizes the contributions of all species, Elder Genta countered gently, including the Drakari. Your knowledge and experience remain valuable, but they must be offered as gifts, not imposed as demands. Victor looked around the table, perhaps finally realizing how isolated his position had become. Even his traditional allies among the elder species had accepted the new reality. The Drakari will consider the proposal, he said finally, sitting down. Elder Genta turned to Earth's delegation. And humanity? Admiral Hernandez looked at Eliza. Commander Chen was the first to recognize the flaws in the old treaty. Her assessment of the new accord would be valuable. All eyes turned to Eliza. She took a deep breath and stood. I've read every word of this document, she said. Unlike the Eternal Peace Treaty, this accord truly aims to create partnership between all species, regardless of their age or development stage. Earth supports it fully. A murmur of approval ran around the table. Elder Genta's skin glowed brightly. Then it is settled. The Galactic Accord will replace the Conquered. A new era begins today. 6 months later, Eliza stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Accord Embassy on Earth. Behind her, representatives from 37 worlds mingled at the opening reception. As Earth's chief ambassador to the Galactic Accord, she had overseen the construction of this symbol of the new interstellar reality